Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. We're 12 days into Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu's war with Iran, and it looks exactly as poorly planned and disastrous as many of us feared it would be nearly 2 weeks ago. Do you remember when this war first started and Donald Trump echoed the old W. Bush administration argument about U.S. forces being greeted as liberators?
To the great, proud people of Iran, I say tonight that the hour of your freedom is at hand. America is backing you with overwhelming strength and devastating force. Now is the time to seize control of your destiny and to unleash the prosperous and glorious future that is close within your reach.
That was Trump's pre-recorded statement from his Gulf Palace announcing the war to the American people in that white trucker hat you can buy off his campaign website. Then, a few hours later, an American Tomahawk cruise missile struck a girls' elementary school, killing 175 children and staff. An act, in my view, that gruesomely rebutted the argument that our invasion was being done on behalf of the Iranian people. And instead of taking accountability for what happened, Trump, on multiple occasions in the days since, blamed Iran for blowing up its own school.
Mr. President, did the United States bomb a girls' elementary school in southern Iran on the first day of the war and kill 170?
No, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
You just suggested that Iran somehow got its hands on a Tomahawk and bombed its own elementary school on the first day of the war. But you're the only person in your government saying this. Even your defense secretary wouldn't say that when he was asked, standing over your shoulder on your plane on Saturday. Why are you the only person saying this?
Because I just don't know enough about it. I think it's something that I was told is under investigation. But Tomahawks are used by others, as you know. Numerous other nations have Tomahawks. They buy them from us. But I will certainly, whatever the report shows, I'm willing to live with that report.
Well, he's willing to live with it, so there you go. We're one of 3 countries on Earth with Tomahawk missiles. It is the U.S., the U.K., and Australia. Not only does Iran not have Tomahawk missiles, it does not have the technology nor the infrastructure to fire them. And if all that was not convincing enough, bomb fragments recovered from the scene say made in USA on them, because of course we're the only country that makes them, and we determine who gets to have them. The Iranian government is not one of those places. Well, today, the New York Times reports and MS Now has matched that an early investigation from Trump's own government, from the Department of Defense of Pete Hegseth, concludes that, yes, we were responsible for that horrific attack. They are saying it was a mistake with the targeting system, a mistake that killed nearly 200 people, most of whom were children in their school. Trump doesn't know about it.
A new report says that the military investigation has found that the United States struck the school in Iran. As Commander-in-Chief, you take responsibility for that.
That is what?
As Commander-in-Chief, do you...
For what?
For the strike on the school in Iran. A new report says the military investigation has found it was the United States that struck the school.
I don't know about it.
All of a sudden he doesn't know about it. Guy's got opinions on everything, knows about everything, can solve anything from college sports to energy to anything. Well, what do you know? Asleep at the wheel now. All while his administration is scrambling after speaking with dozen U.S. officials. The Times reports, quote, inside the administration, some officials are growing pessimistic about the lack of a clear strategy to finish the war. But they have been careful not to express that directly to the president, who has repeatedly declared that the military operation is a complete success. It is not clear that Trump knows there is no exit plan. It's not even clear he understands this war is unpopular. Apparently, his people were not even prepared for the possibility that Iran could retaliate against the U.S. by shutting down crucial trade routes through the Strait of Hormuz. Again, quoting from the Times. Even during the Israeli and U.S. strikes against Iran last June, Energy Secretary Chris Wright said there had been little disruption in the markets. Some of Trump's other advisors shared similar views in private, dismissing warnings the second time around Iran might wage economic warfare by closing shipping lanes carrying roughly 20% of the world's oil supply. They just didn't think it would happen. They didn't have a plan for it. Now, Trump has been forced to release oil from the strategic reserves. 172 million barrels are coming this week. It's out of just north of 400 million total. Meanwhile, Iran is sending millions of barrels of oil to China. They've actually increased their exports of oil during this period of time. They are also now firing on oil tankers in the Strait, like straight up. Reporting indicates they are mining the sea as well. They clearly see this as their essentially lone point of leverage against a joint war by Israel and the U.S. that sort of have more firepower than they do. Right? They are dead serious about grinding it all to a halt, as least as it pertains to us. This strategy is widely known, one might even say obvious and widely anticipated. The problem here is the U.S. doesn't seem to have a strategy of its own. Listen to this interview with the editor-in-chief of Arab News.
It is clear that their strategy is to make this war as expensive as possible for the United States and for the rest of the world, to put pressure on the United States for it to stop. On the other hand, nobody really knows what the declared mission of this war, and I'm not even sure I've heard the United States call it a war. It's been called Operation Epic Fury, military strikes. I'm not sure if they've called it a war yet, but the continuous sort of flip-flopping on what is the target makes everybody a bit anxious.
I mean, you imagine you'd be anxious if you were in one of the Gulf countries which hosts American service members, is being used to launch this war, and is now receiving incoming from the Iranians, who seem very intent on widening the pain as much as possible. By the way, Trump himself isn't even sure if he should call it a war, despite the fact that he has been calling it a war from the very beginning.
We did a little excursion. We had to take this little few weeks of excursion, but it's been incredible. Our military is unbelievable, the job they're doing.
Yes. You just said it is a little excursion, and you said it is a war. So which one is it? Well,
it's both. It's both. It's an excursion that will keep us out of a war, and the war is going to be, for them it's a war. For us, it's turned out to be easier than we thought.
Yes, it's an excursion and also a war. It's a military engagement, but not a war. It's about to be done because it's basically ended, but it's also just the beginning. It's the war as a Zen cone, everything in its opposite at all times. That was in an event in Cincinnati, Ohio earlier today, part of a tour across the heartland to convince voters that everything's fine. Meanwhile, the average price of gas in Ohio is $3.44 a gallon. Last month, it was $2.89. Guess what? It's not going to stay at $3.44 for very long if this continues. And I'm not sure any amount of glad handing at a factory can distract voters from what's happening. People are paying attention. When you launch a war in the Middle East, they tend to. 8 Americans have already died. We now know, according to CBS News report, that dozens more U.S. service members were seriously injured in that drone attack on the Tactical Operations Center in Kuwait that the Trump administration was completely unprepared for. And as we say every night here, because it can be easy to lose sight, though the war has been turned into this bizarre form of content, this is as real as it gets. It's extremely real human cost to all this. There are 1,300 dead Iranians. We have no way of knowing what percentage of those are civilians or combatants. 1,300 dead Iranians. Over 600 dead in Lebanon from an Israeli assault. They say is targeting Hezbollah there, but has leveled parts of the southern part of that country. 13 dead in Israel alone. So amid all the chaos and death, how did our wartime president spend the afternoon? By palling around with internet personality and aspiring boxer Jake Paul in Kentucky. And, of course, dancing to the YMCA. There you go. At least he's having fun, right? He's having a good time. He seems to be enjoying himself. That's how the commander-in-chief is behaving. During the war of choice he started, the region literally on fire. Is there really any wonder why it's so unpopular? Look at this great chart from the New York Times comparing the popularity of this war to the start of past wars. Even the Iraq War, the infamous boondoggle, was polling at 76% approval. I think that's after the war started, right before it was a little lower. And that's because the White House lied to the American people. But boy, did they spend a lot of time and effort lying. By contrast, this war is polling at 41%. That's even before there are any U.S. boots on the ground, which, by the way, Trump has very noticeably not ruled out. There's reporting indicating it's being strongly considered. And the difference here is that even the people waging this war do not seem to know why they are doing it.